Willie, thanks very much for all the time you've given us today. You've got a huge amount going over for Cheltenham. How are you feeling ahead of the big festival?
We're very good. Christmas was good to us. Dublin Racing Festival was good. Fingers crossed now we can just keep them at that pitch for the next few weeks.
Patrick, thanks a million for joining us. You must be incredibly busy in this lead-up.
We are, but we're lucky we have enough good staff and enough staff. So once you have, once you have enough good team around, everything else falls into place. And it's busy, but it's not. It's still very doable. So it's enjoyable.
Yeah, and it must be very exciting.
It is. It's hugely exciting. But we with the last couple of years, we've gone over to Cheltenham with 50, 60 horses and 10 or 12 favourites. So you get used to it. In good ways and bad ways. So the excitement and the pressure obviously lessens a bit every time, but not lessens, but you're more used to it. Yeah.
Just going to ask about a couple of the more specific efforts going towards Cheltenham, particularly in the Gold Cup in terms of tactics we've seen with Gallup and Deschamps. Would you rather have him out in front going to Cheltenham, or will you just decide when it gets closer with pace?
I think we'll decide when we get closer. But last year I wouldn't let Paul be as forward on him. I didn't want him in his first Gold Cup to get a real grueler of a race, which would have turned out to be. And I just said, discussed it all with Paul, and I believed in the horse. I thought he had enough class to win it. There was always going to be plenty of pace on. You'll always get that in the Gold Cup. So I wasn't too worried. I said there'll be plenty of horses taking each other on up there. Let them at it. If we're good enough, and I think we are, take your chance late in the race, not early in the race. This year it could be different because he clearly prefers now to be let gallop and jump, and he loves it.
Paul, big week is coming up of the whole year. If there's a good bit of pace, which there probably will be in the Gold Cup, what way would you see it panning out? Where would you like to be?
I suppose we changed it up a little bit in Leopardstown the last couple of days, but there wasn't a hell of a lot of pace in either race. We took a lead off Conflate the first day, and they elected to follow us the last day, so we popped along. Whenever the decks come out, we'll make a plan, but he's very straightforward. It's just the way it worked out last year. We came from so far back, hadn't planned to be as far back going out the second circuit, to be honest. So he's very straightforward, and we'll do whatever he's comfortable doing.
And were the tactics the last couple of times because there wasn't a lot of pace in the race and you had to kind of grab the bull by the horn, so to speak?
You have to ride the race that presents itself. We made a plan going out. Obviously we ended up behind fast or slow in the John Durkin back and trip, which wasn't ideal, but he ran a cracker. And we just changed it up and let him do his thing in Leopardstown, and he enjoyed it again.
And is it a case this year, if you have a similar makeup in terms of pace, is it a case that you'll just sit closer to the pace, or you'd be willing to take it on?
They're all things that we'll see what the makeup of the race is, the half hour before the race, and that'll be really up to Paul as he goes down to the start and walks around the start and listens to the other jockeys and see what way they're lining up. He'll have a fair idea in his head. And
it's great to have a horse that now at least he can either come from off the pace, he can go out in front, he can do whatever way you want.
Exactly. I think he's just matured in his own mind, and he doesn't get as wound up as he used to. He's just a complete package nowadays.
You've massively supported the Dublin Racing Festival, but with its proximity to Cheltenham, if any horses have a hard race as such, like Gallup and Deschamps had to dig a little bit deep anyway and go to the well a little bit. Are there any worries about any of the horses that they might have had a hard race and it might impact on Cheltenham?
We treat Dublin Racing Festival as an end in itself. We prepare for Dublin Racing Festival. The prize money is good. The races are good. If we're lucky enough to win there, and we did have a good amount of luck this year, then the horses have to recover and prepare for the next outing, which happens to be Cheltenham. I think they've all come out of it very well. We won't know how much impact it will have on them until they go there, but a lot of the English horses have had other trials in the meantime. Unless a horse can't take racing, you have to turn up at the big meetings, and for the owners, for the horse themselves, win the prize money, try and win the races, and so it's always a worry, but that's every day you run a horse. You wonder, if he runs bad, do you think, was it his last race? Was it too quick? Was it not? Did he need another run in between? These are all the things that's just the ongoing nature of racing, and get any team or individual in any sport. It's all about how you prepare. We're happy that we prepare the right way. It worked last year. Hopefully it'll work this year.
And now moving on to the Champion Hurdle, obviously Constitution Hill is an amazing horse, but you've a very good one yourself with Stateman, and he is clearly at least next best. Have you got a particular plan around how you'll take on Constitution Hill?
Once again, that'll be up to Paul, I think. We have our own ideas and we've discussed it in broad terms. If we're all lucky enough to be there on the first day of the Cheltenham Festival, Paul will know what to do when he gets down to the start, and we don't know what's going to be the full lineup yet, but Paul has a fair idea in his own head, and I have too, but we won't really discuss it until probably in the parade ring.
In terms of tactics, is there a way, do you think there's any kind of weakness with Constitution Hill? Do you think there's any way that you can ride against him that might try to expose anything with him?
It doesn't look to be any weakness there yet to me anyway. I don't know what anyone else is saying. I'd like to say there is, but there doesn't seem to be any chink in his armour. So no, again, the night when the decks come out, I'll sit down and go through the races and do, as I say, my homework and try and make a plan, and that could all change by the time we get to the start. From the time I leave Willie in the parade ring to get to the start, that could change. But lucky enough that we're within reason, we have free rope to do that. So we'll have to try something, but I don't know what it'll be yet.
And just on one other championship race, obviously El Fabiolo, he looks a mighty horse. Some people would say there's the odd time he's not perfect at the fences, but he's got an incredible engine. What's your thoughts?
He's getting more experience jumping now as well. He's a big animal, strong horse. Can miss a fence, but the majority of 2 mile chasers kind of do. It's kind of what's in them. They have to live on the line a little bit. They're going as fast as they can over the biggest obstacles they can. So you walk the line a little bit, but he's not an overly raced horse, so he's gaining more experience every day, and he was very good at the Dublin Racing Festival.
Okay, there was a couple of special performances at the Dublin Racing Festival that we got to ask you specifically about. Fact to file, the clock watchers were particularly wild. I know there wasn't many horses in the race, but it was still a very fast performance.
It was a huge performance. They went a fair lick from the beginning, and then Mark pulled Fact to File out of the race just after passing the reservoir, jumping the first fence down the back, and Gaelic Warrior kept galloping and jumping, and then he made a mistake and Mark took back over on Fact to File and galloped the whole way to the line. To do that on his own tells me that horse was well within his comfort zone, and then the time people come and tell us that it was a huge time, so that marks that horse out to be, he could be a superstar of the future.
Lossie Mouth, she has looked fantastic. Is she going to go to the Champion Hurdle? Are you going to keep her instead for the mares? And what kind of shape is she in?
Lossie Mouth hasn't done anything wrong. I know a lot of people would like to go down the Champion Hurdle route, but not even sure if there wasn't a mare's hurdle there whether we go that route. In my lifetime growing up anyhow, 5-year-olds win once every 25 to 30 years. And usually a bad year. This doesn't look like it's going to be a bad year in the Champion Hurdle. Other people say, well, very few 5-year-olds go for it, but I know I've seen them all over the years. The ones that matter go for it. The Triumph Hurdle winners the previous year, the good juveniles, and they just can't lie up. They're just physically not strong enough, I think. That's the way I take it. She did everything right the other day. Maybe she's stronger, but she'll have her chance for the next few years to have a go at the Champion Hurdle. We'll let Statement soften up Constitution Hill first and then leave the door open for her.
Patrick, coming up to Cheltenham now, who are you looking forward to riding most?
Well, yeah, look, it looks like I'm probably going to be on Embassy Gardens in the National Chase, but that could change. If you could paint a horse to look like a National Chase horse, 4-miler, he's it. He's big, he's strong, he's round, he's normally very settled. He didn't settle in the Old Barrett last year, but that start is downhill straight to a narrow enough hurdle. Everyone wants a position, and it just blew his head. Whereas the National Chase is usually a smaller field, and there's not so much of a rush to get a position. So I think he'll settle well. So he's probably going to be the shortest priced horse that I'll be riding anyway.
And he'd certainly have a chance. He is built for it, anyway.
Built for it. I mean, ideally you'd love if he had maybe more than 2 runs over fences. But I think since they brought in the new rules 5 or 6 years ago about this race, the fields have been much smaller. So that's not as much of a negative as it used to be.
Very good. We always get the impression that you possibly have a bit of an input anyway on the training side with your dad. Do you discuss some of these horses quite a lot?
Yeah, we do. Like, obviously we're both in the gallop every morning, and you know, I would have always been riding out. Maybe the last year, 18 months, I'm on the ground more so. Yeah, it's, you know, working with your family isn't particularly easy. We don't maybe sit down around the kitchen table and discuss it every week, but we have our own way of working together, and it seems to work.
Dino Blue, she's kept some pretty good company of late. What's the plans for her, and how good are her chances?
Ran very well in Dublin, which this is going to bring us back to El Fabiolo. I thought the best bit of work Dino Blue ever did was the week before Dublin Racing Festival, and I thought if El Fabiolo misses a beat somewhere, this mare will be on top of him. And he didn't miss a beat, and he was just so good. I mean, a lot of you might have thought it would be that good anyway, but I didn't. When I saw her work, I said, he's going to have to be in some order to beat her, and then beat her the way he did. I thought was, you know, that'll tell you, you know, I hope he hasn't peaked too soon for the season, but you know, that's the sort of work she was doing before Dublin, and I'm hoping she'll improve again as we get near Cheltenham. 2.5 miles shouldn't be any bother to her pedigree, and I'm hoping just going that half mile an hour slower, she'll be fine for the mare's chase.
Okay. Just tell us about that race with Dancing City and Predator's Gold. Predator's Gold was quite well fancied beforehand. Dancing City gave a very good performance. Where are they going to go?
Yeah, I was delighted. Dancing City stepped up to the mark. We went up in trip with them, and I think he'll be better off again. So he will go to the Albert Bartlett along with High Class Hero. Predator's Goal we were a little disappointed with, but he got very keen. I think the trip was too long. We'll probably come back to the Bearing Bingham with him. I think it might suit him a lot better, faster pace, and things just happening quicker, I think will suit him. At Christmas we went 2 miles. It probably lit him up. I think pedigree-wise and everything, he'd better off going for the Bearing Bingham.
What are the targets with Mystical Power, and what kind of shape is he in?
Mystical Power, I've been very, very pleased with what he's shown us over 2 miles. With his pedigree, I thought he could be a 2.5 miler or even further, you know. But he's shaped more like a 2 miler to look at, but that wasn't very obvious in his homework. And I think he's a bit like his mother. He's just a late developer. And you get some pedigrees that are late developers. Look at Cuviga. She was a late developer. All her progeny are late developers. So, you know, this fellow is just improving all the time. The last bit of work that Mark wrote him before the Lawlers race, which he didn't partake in, he was amazed at how much he'd improved. And then when the Lawlers race was put back a week, we said, let's go for the other race, Moscow Flyer. So, and he was very good in the Moscow Flyer. We were very happy. Mark was happy. I'd have to think Supreme Novice. We've had Moscow Flyer winners to go both ways, I think. It's been a very good race for us as a trial for Cheltenham.
What's the latest with Gaelic Warrior, and are you happy with him now going to Cheltenham?
Gaelic Warrior, obviously, going left-handed didn't suit him, but he did get agitated before the race. That seemed to just unsettle him, and he, I don't know, very disappointing. He seems all right, a little bit dead in himself since he came back, but then any horse would be. You know, especially I find those good horses when they get beaten, a bit like boxers, they don't like it and they get disappointed. But we'll try and have him right for, you know, the Turners was what we had in mind for him, and that's why Connections didn't take a chance on running him in Dublin, because we couldn't see much point in maybe going down the 2 mile route if we were going to go for the Turners anyhow. So we are where we are now. He still has all the options to go. We'll see what happens. But the way he jumps and his speed jumping certainly going right-handed, I wouldn't have any problem putting him into a 2-mile race, but we'll see.
And on the Triumph, you've got such a strong hand as well with Carg's. Madgeborough as well, like, did an awful lot of the donkey work the other day. What was your reading on the race?
His first run for us, a lot of our horses, I'd say most of our horses have improved for their first run this year. He's a horse to follow, whatever about the Triumph Hurdle. He's a beautiful big horse for any, people that love looking at horses. He looks like a 3-mile chaser. I'm so surprised that he's a juvenile hurdler. He will improve a lot. Cargisi did everything well. Danny learnt a lot about her at Christmas, and he put that to good use, and she has her chance. She's a very good chance in the Triumph Hurdle. 2 nice horses in the Triumph Hurdle, and we've 1 or 2 others.
So obviously strong hand in the bumper. Tell us your main fancies for.
Yeah, I mean, Jasmine DeVoe was eye-opening, did it so easily. I thought so, and I think he's jumped into favouritism for the bumper or thereabouts. But, we've a few other horses. The horse that won in Navan, Cantico, owned by Greg Turley, galloping the Champ. And he also has another horse, Argento Boy, who won the other day. Now, Argento Boy looked a bit workmanlike doing it, but he's a brother to Briar Hill, who won the Cheltenham bumper. And that pedigree just improves as they go through the season. So he's won. I've got a couple of mares there. Junta Marvel, who won very well last year and missed the season. If I can get her right, she'll go there. And Aurora Vega, of course, Facile Vega's sister. We've got a nice little selection of mares for people who maybe want something less obvious. And they're all in good shape.
Astro Diamond was very good last time over in England. How's she shaping up and where's she going to go?
Astro Diamond goes for the Mayor's Hurdle. Did a nice job in Doncaster, was it? She's improved nicely now. I didn't expect her to improve that much, but she's improved nicely. Jade de Grugy has been very impressive. Mayor's novice. I'm hoping that she just gets there in the same form. She jumps well. There doesn't look to be any chink in her armour. I'm very happy with how she is.
Facile Vega. There seems to have been a big race in him at some point. We haven't quite found the key to him just yet.
Facile Vega has been a disappointment. Paul said to me he just felt he's still not back to where he has been at his best. And he's one of those horses over the years, he's been frustrating. So I'm working on a different plan for him, training-wise. I don't know about target yet. I mean, obviously his pedigree, he could go out and run in either the Brown Advisory, the Turners or the Arkle. I'm going to see his last few gallops will probably tell us where we stand. We've got such a team going over. One time we had 7 or 8 or 10 going over, you'd think, okay, this fella's going to run way better than a lot of people think, but there's just so many, and we're, we're just hoping that most of them can run a true run race, because you bring horses over there and they can't take the occasion, or they lose a shoe the night before. I think about everything that's ever happened has happened as going to Cheltenham. Different reasons for horses having non-runners or failing to give their full performance. So I'm more into just trying to get the team there in one order, and hopefully the good ones will just come to the top. We just happen to be the team on top at the moment, but I'm sure that'll change, and we're lucky, this team that we have out here. But if I go out in the morning, and I'm always dreading waking up, especially on a Monday morning, and my phone goes off and it's Virginie out in the yard telling me, got 3 lame horses, and I go, oh, stop. And as long as I don't see Stateman, Galopin de Champ, or those type of horses, the Grade 1 horses coming up on our list, it's fine, because supposing, for argument's sake, Galopin de Champ and Stateman went, that puts a fair dent in your horses. And sometimes when I've often seen it, and here too, if a good horse goes, next thing the whole yard goes down. It's amazing. You've got to keep the good horses going, and it seems to lift the other players, for the want of a better word, and it does, morale around the yard as well is good. And that's why we are where we are. But I'm very happy doing what we're doing.